All right. All right, we are live. How's it going, everyone in chat? And we have a special guest here to talk Saw, which I was just saying, so good and to have a few people in this community that love Saw. Welcome, Night from the NightWatch Zone. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey,
This will be fun.
yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I really enjoy the franchise, and I mean, anytime I get a chance to talk about it, I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So it was like an event back then. You know, with the first 7 movies.
That's
Every
right.
year it was like looking forward to Halloween time in October because
That's
you
right.
knew you were getting the new Saw film. Did you
Yeah, man. I mean, they
you
had the
saw them all in
tagline.
theaters?
I did. I did. I
Yeah, me
was
too.
really lucky enough to do that. Every year, me and my buddies, we would all, just go to the theater and check it out. And I mean, they used to have that tagline: "If it's Halloween, it's Saw."
Yep,
So,
yep. I remember that. Yeah, it was something as horror fans that if you were a fan of the series, of course, you would look
right.
forward to like a yearly just horror event, an extra
Hmm.
bonus like to Halloween being in
Right.
October there. The um, the first film obviously was such a huge success. Do you
Hmm.
remember the twist being in the theater and how your
Yes.
audience reacted? Right?
Yeah, man.
Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
When the twist first of all, when the twist happened, myself, I was just like, "What?"
Yep.
And it really it was effective. It really got me. I can remember hearing people in the
Yeah.
theater like gasping and just saying stuff like the theater was really animated, which that's a good thing, man, especially with a horror movie. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think it got all of us, man. Me and my buddies,
Yeah.
we were talking about for days afterwards.
I don't think anybody saw it coming. Like, and
No.
I had the same experience in theater too. It's just gasps, whispers, and
Yep.
then just the music cueing in, which the music is just phenomenal in this whole
Yeah.
series. And
Hmm.
once you hear that music, you know something's going down. You know something's about to happen. You know that you're about to find out some information that we didn't know yet, or that we
That's
were
right.
just getting a messed up ending coming soon. And
Hmm.
what great music. Let's hop in the chat series here. We have Joe, the horror guy. What's up, Joe? How you
Hey.
doing, man? You still got to catch up on some of them. Yeah,
Yes.
catch
Yes.
up on them before, like you're playing before X comes out. So we'll talk
Hmm.
about that. Carrie says Jeopardy music playing, and it says that what do we? She thinks she was waiting on Night. So
Hey,
it's just
Carrie.
funny, Carrie. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Zodiac. How you doing, buddy? All right, Carrie, Joseph, and whoever else pours in. So that's it for now. But so what are your hopes for Saw 10? Like I don't watch
Um.
trailers, so I have no idea like what to expect or where they could possibly go. So I'm interested to see where
Yeah.
you think this could possibly be heading.
Well, supposedly, from what I've heard, we are going to get a teaser
Okay.
in another couple weeks. From what I understand, it's supposed to be
Oh, nice.
by the end of July. Is what I've been hearing, and that's what I've been saying on my channel.
Yeah.
But what I hope for it, I mean, overall, I just hope it's a great movie. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess if I'm gonna be super like, outside the circle of Saw fans, I want it to at least be good. It'd be nice if it was great. Okay, that's
Oh yeah,
number.
of course.
That's because I feel like with them coming back, in a way it might be a little bit of an uphill climb, and like you were saying backstage, it was popular back in the day, but now it seems like people have kind of forgotten. This is to me
Yeah.
anyways, an iconic franchise. So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really yeah, I really hope it's good. It would be nice if somehow the story really just grabs your attention, just grabs you, and I'm so curious of how they're going to do it. We know it's taking place, in between the earlier films, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. And also, to me, it would make sense that somehow it opens the series back up.
That would be
So that
great.
that's a fine line to walk,
Oh,
especially when you've got 9 other films.
it's hard to pull off. all of that. But I think if anybody can do it, it's the people behind Saw, because I
Mm.
always give it. I feel like it does not get enough credit in a
Yeah.
few departments, especially like I'm big with continuity and attention to detail, and like it's. I mean, it doesn't have to always be the same like characters cast as the same actors cast as characters, but it takes it down in some series for me. Like usually most of the time, if I see like they recast a character, I get why. But it's like I like it be better, and I like to see it like the continuity not be broken.
Right.
And Saw is just phenomenal with the continuity and the attention to detail that they would even bring back actors and actresses just to shoot like a 5-second flashback scene with their bodies in the background. Like that's attention to detail. I mean, you can just have to sit and get some guy off the street, be like, you want to lay on the ground for 5 seconds, but like they actually put that effort in to call back these actors and have them back just for the authenticity of it. And you see that a lot through the whole franchise, because we all know it wasn't written as a series. It was just the first movie. Second Saw, I think it was a completely different script. It wasn't even meant to be a Saw film. And Leigh Whannell ended up coming in and doing heavy rewrites on it and released it as Saw 2, and then that blew up too. And then they said, all right, we got like a big series here, we can keep going. But the way that they were able to write year after year and get a film out every year, and have because I love just the soap opera horror like story of the series.
Me too.
So that's what draws me in too, like the most. Like it's not just it's not even about the traps. Like those are like the icing on the cake.
That's right.
Just the story is what sucks us in, and the way that they're able to tie everything together. So I don't want to say perfectly by the end of the 7th film, but close to.
Yeah.
Like those first 7 movies, I feel are such a, and again, loosely worded, but perfect for what it is. Like for a series of 7 movies yearly released that was never supposed to be that way. And the detail and everything is just excellent. So if they can keep that attention to detail, and it, like you said, draws back into the old films. The fact that we have the director, I think, from 6 and 7 that's returning for this one, which I like. You remember the green filter? The iconic Saw green filter. That's been missing from Jigsaw and Spiral. So
that's right.
I'm hoping we get that back. Me too. And it makes me more hopeful because it's that director returning. So he worked on 6 and 7.
Right. Yeah. But, I agree, man. I think that it just has a nice look to it. It feels kind of grimy and
it fits the content of the film with the drabby environments and like the dilapidated buildings, the warehouses that everything takes place. Because we saw that green filter in a decent amount of 2000s. Like I can think of like the Ring remake is very same thing with that green filter. It doesn't work there for me as much in the Ring, but like it Saw, like you said, for the reasons aforementioned, it works perfect. And it's missing in the last 2. So I'm hoping that they bring it back. We have Pat in here, Cheetah. What's up, Pat?
Hey,
how you doing, buddy? He's been killing. Has some great interviews on lately with the whole diverse amount of people. Good stuff.
Nice.
I was saying earlier, I was about to say earlier, then we went on. I just got good news from I always forget her last name, Lauren D, the girl who plays Vicky from Friday Part 2. So the
Taylor.
one who, starts with a D. Starts with a D, her last name. Hold on. Actually, it's right here. Lauren Didrikson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Vicky from Part 2. Messaged her just on like out of nowhere and got a response. So she is unfortunately getting minor surgery on her shoulder in the next week. But in August, she says, I'm coming on. We're going to be talking Friday. So I said, all right, sweet. So
nice.
we will have Vicky from Friday Part 2 on next month.
Very cool, man.
Can't go a stream without mentioning something Friday. So
yes, and I love Friday too. I love Friday too.
It's probably my second favorite, behind 4. What's your favorite Friday?
4 is my favorite. 2 is in my top 5. I've kind of I've ranked them so many times. It's tough though, but that also shows the strength of them. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I used to rank 6 higher, but I don't know. The comedy to it is fun, and it used to be higher for me as a kid when I first saw them, and then for years going, and it makes sense now. Like especially when I went back for the channel and redid and covered the series, that I didn't care for it as much, but I can see why, because of that childish humor that started coming into it a little bit.
Right.
So it went down a little for me, but it's still such a fun movie. Hey Wayne.
It is. Hey.
So we have Shawnee Smith returning, which is probably my biggest. What are they going to do here? Because we know very much that, I mean, along with Jigsaw, but everyone, even Saw fans that usually stop past. I hear this a lot, like people who like the first 3, then that's it. You heard that often?
I have, man, and I was just talking about Shawnee Smith the other morning. I think that to me it seems like, and I haven't heard anything concrete, or at least I don't remember hearing anything concrete. Maybe I did years ago, but it seems like to me that the original idea was to do a trilogy. Because at the end of 3, man, they clean house.
Oh, absolutely.
They clean house
in a brutal, awesome, satisfying fashion.
They do, man. So, part of me wonders if they had the foresight, as far as the longevity of the franchise, would they have done what they did to Amanda? Because I think she's integral. She's very, very important. And that's why, well, again, Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, they carried Saw 2.
The chemistry is so great between them.
Yeah, they helped to carry Saw 2 and Saw 3. So I'm excited to see her come back, but I'm curious too. Obviously they can really go into some interesting areas because of their relationship. But the only thing for me, and that speaking mostly as just a hardcore Saw fan, is where it leads to. You know what I mean? Like is this going to be like kind of a way that they bring Tobin and Shawnee back to have like one more film, and then kind of open up the franchise? Or is there going to be, I don't know, man. You just never know.
Especially with Saw. With the twists and turns throughout this whole series. You never know what to expect. And I hear that all the time also with like after the 3rd movie, and I've heard that also in the past. I'm pretty sure you're right on that, with it originally maybe being a trilogy plan for it, and then they saw the popularity of it. Would they have killed him off still in Amanda? I don't think they would have, maybe that early.
Right. Or at least not definitively.
Yeah, like they would have left it more open, like you said, and leave that door open. But since they did what they did, and then saw some backlash, a decent amount of backlash on killing off Jigsaw.
Yep.
I think it was still brilliant how they were able to come back from that with the 4th film and have it being taking place at the same time.
At the same time, that was great.
Brilliant way to trick everybody. Like, all right, because everyone's thinking like they better not go paranormal, like that he's a ghost or something like that. Like, and that's my only real concern for this movie. Which was I'm sure a concern of all of ours for Jigsaw. And they played on that expectation and worry beautifully in that movie, making it a prequel, or a half prequel in a way.
Yep.
So that's my only real concern, is that. But my only other concern besides that is one I have for a lot of movies like this, that they come back with the film after a long while, is the story worth it? Like, is the story worth existing? Is it that if it's a great story and it works out good and it makes sense and it ties in, and it's a great movie, of course, then I would love them to open the doors and keep on going and see where they go from there.
Yeah.
Just I want to see. I hope that it's a worthy sequel. That it makes sense. It exists.
Right.
That it's not just brought back just for they have a 10th film that we could have done years ago. All right, let's do Saw 10 and hype it up. With the love that they put, that all the people that have worked on the Saw series have put into it.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think we have to worry about that as much.
And it doesn't make sense for them to do that too. I mean, like if you're coming back, first of all, because of the franchise itself, you have to have a good story, and the fact that they were smart enough to say, okay, we're bringing back Tobin Bell We know that's what the fans want. So I'm assuming that the story has to be strong, and he'll have a lot of weight in that story. And
Yeah.
if that is true, then it would make sense to me that some way, somehow they open up the franchise, one way or the other, whether it's opening it up so there's room for some more movies in between the first couple films,
And that's a
or
brilliant way they left open there. Is that that
yes,
timeline there, they can insert sequels into between any of those 7 movies, pretty
right,
much,
right,
at least
yeah,
after 2.
yeah, because I mean you've got time, you know what I mean, and Saw, as we saw with 4, things can happen at the same time,
Exactly.
so I don't know, man, but that's also what makes me so excited, is that I don't know, that there's a lot of possibilities, and it seems like they understand what the fans want, and the
Oh
fact
yeah.
that Tobin will be, that centerpiece. That's what gets me. I'm just so excited, man. I
Oh
really
yeah,
am.
it's gonna be great to see him like centerfold in a Saw film like we haven't seen in a while. Like
Right.
even though in Jigsaw we got him near the end, like the last half of the film a little bit, it still wasn't
Hmm.
him front and center, running
Right.
things, or like this is his plan, or this was his
Right.
game. So it's gonna be really really cool to see what they do, especially with him and Amanda, and
Yes.
like we were saying, seeing that dynamic again.
Now,
I just
one thing that
Yeah.
gets me is, and I haven't heard anything, but I'm also curious about what will that do as far as for Hoffman? Will any of this tie into Hoffman? And I, you know, I don't know about how you feel, but I liked Hoffman as a character.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I was waiting to see when if it got brought up organically, because when we were saying how 3 is usually the stopping point,
Hmm.
I noticed with so many people I talk to that they don't care for Hoffman. The
Mm-hmm.
people, it seems like there's a correlation of sort between people who only like the first 3 or 4 Saw films, and then that's it for them. They can't take it after that,
Hmm.
and the character of Hoffman. And a lot of times, it's the link is they don't like that character. And because they
Mm-hmm.
killed off Jigsaw and they killed off Amanda, and he was pretty much the Hoffman show from 5 on.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
I
I
feel
mean,
like
I
if
I
you don't
liked
like
it.
that character, and I absolutely love Hoffman's character.
Hmm.
I think he's
Yeah,
such a complex character. There's so many layers to him. And he's just a great villain.
he is, man. I mean,
Like, he's a villain you
yeah,
want to root for at times, but at the same time,
hmm,
after a few movies, 6 or so around there, it's like, all right, this guy, man, he's going way too far now. Even though we're already coming from a place of murder and torture from the beginning of the series, that's
that's
how
right.
much it makes you like feel against this guy after a while. That he
Yeah,
feels that much bigger of a just a douchebag compared to Jigsaw, even
right,
like
right.
like and definitely there's always that opening. They'll always have an opening for another accomplice, and that's a good
Hmm.
point too, with asking if he'll be if this will tie into Hoffman's character. Will it
Yeah,
tie into Logan too?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Will we
if
see him at all, or
if
hear?
they're yeah, if they're smart, things will be at least left open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think with this film, to me, it's kind of it's a risky thing, because
Hmm.
it's been a while. We're bringing back these older characters, from earlier films. I mean, obviously Tobin Bell has been around, but as far as being centerpiece, and so
Yeah.
it's a risk. It's a risk that I think that they don't know, and we don't know how well it'll be received by the fans. But I think if they're smart, the story will allow things to be open, unless there is a surprise to have Hoffman appear or at least mentioned or whatever. But
Mhm.
because if this does well, obviously we'll get some more movies, and so
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
you don't you don't want to pin yourself in another corner. You already did that before, and
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Like at the end of um, Jigsaw, or I should say Saw 7. Man, I
Okay,
was
yeah,
thinking,
about that.
can Hoffman can maybe get out of this, you know?
That's what I always wondered too, and we never get an explanation for like how long Dr. Gordon has been. Well, we get an explanation for how long he's been helping him,
Right.
But there's two other people with him with pig
That's
masks
right.
at the end.
That's
And
right.
I always thought maybe when Jigsaw was coming out that maybe they were going like a cult route, like a cult of Jigsaw, but
That's
they
what I
didn't
thought
go down
too.
that route. So, yeah, so I wonder if maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe that was an idea that they had at the end of 7 if they were going to make more movies, and then they didn't end up making any for a while, a few years.
Right.
And that idea was abandoned. We can always see that come back because those two, there's two people there for sure.
Right.
And I can't think of who they would be because it's not Hoffman. He's right there in the scene. It's there unless that's the way they're bringing this back together. Those two people are Jigsaw and Amanda.
Yeah.
Somehow,
Yeah.
but that doesn't. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean,
they're like alive somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that if they're smart, they're gonna give us some surprises, and it could be stuff like that. It could be like who are those two people, or if they get Cary Elwes involved because he was involved back then, you know, as far as what we figured out. But to me, they can open up enough room for multiple movies in this earlier part of the timeline, and I'd be all for that. But I still really enjoy Hoffman, man. You know,
I love that character.
And it
really
would be it would be cool if they somehow, you know, give a wink and a nod to the fact that maybe there's a way to get out of that room that only they know, you know, or something crazy.
Yep.
I don't know, but I think Costas Mandylor was great in the role, and to me, 6 was such a great film, and
That's
big
my
part of
favorite
that
series.
Yeah, it was so good, and a big part of that is because of him, and also the storyline of him trying to keep his identity a secret, you know, or trying to cover his tracks. That was a great way for this film, for the franchise to move forward, you know.
Oh yeah,
So,
and the scene, especially with in 6, I always, you know how hard it is when remembering which movie a season and near the end, especially the last few films. I know it's the 6 with the whole, or it might be in 7 when he's with the scrambler of his voice when they're doing and then he just destroys everybody. But what a tense scene that is there.
Yeah,
like, and you because we as the audience know it's his voice, but they kind of do too. They, you know, and especially what's that, Carrie, right? The detective, she knows too. But who knows if they all know? It's kind of hinted at that they have a strong suspicion. But it works so well though. The tension
it
there,
does.
like, even though we know that it's 100%, and it's just we're thinking, what is he going to do now? And then when we get that scene, and then we have a similar one, that's what always throws me off on which movie it's from. And the 7th one, when he just like Michael Myers is a whole police station.
Yes, yeah.
Like, he's a badass character. He's somebody you don't want to mess with.
That's right. That's right, man. I mean, when he got out of the bear trap,
that's so good.
the bear trap mask, and I thought it was over. I really thought it was over.
I thought that was his ending there.
And the way they shot it, to this day, it's awesome, man. When we talked about it, that was a part that I really focused on, because I love the way he got out of it. And then of course he crashes through the window with the bars so it can't open all the way, and he rips his freaking face off.
Quick thinking, though, right?
I
guess you got it, but we see it all the time, and that's maybe what makes that a great scene, is that we do see it all the time in horror. People not thinking quick, or just standing there while a killer with an axe is about to hit them, not trying to move or run or fight back. You know what I mean? So when we see something like that, someone thinking real fast on their feet because they know how this works. They don't have a long time at all, and he's able to just look around and just think on his feet like that and save his own life. But man, the gore on his face looked great.
It did. It was awesome.
That's another thing. It's the gore effects in the series. You can't talk about Saw without the traps and the gore effects. But
that's right.
Just amazing work in this whole franchise.
I agree, man. I totally agree. It's gritty, it's realistic, it's intense, and it really it sets it apart. It sets it apart from the other films, but it's not it's not to the point where it's just beating you in the face with it. Like you said
Yeah.
earlier, it's the story and the puzzle pieces and the mystery that's the biggest part of these Saw movies. And that's where
Yep.
people, I think, give it an unfair shake, is that they think, okay, it's torture porn. It's torture porn.
No,
It's
I
all
can't
about these
stand
traps.
that term. I cannot
Yeah.
stand that term. I never liked it. Never. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like we could see Jason and Freddy and all the slashers we love. I know you're a fellow slasher fanatic.
Yep.
All that dismemberment and craziness and stuff like that with their kills, but then like a Saw trap is over the line, and
That's right.
that's torture porn, and
Yep.
it's never made sense, and it's such a dumb term. But yeah,
Agreed.
it's that I think a lot of people who aren't Saw fans see the series and see the fans of the series, like you're saying, like that, like we're there just for the gore and the traps, and that's it. No, it's this as convoluted as it is, the story, because I'll admit it 100%. It's convoluted as hell. The whole story through the whole series.
Yes.
But it's convoluted in a great, fun, mysterious way.
Yes, I agree.
Like, it's one of those series that I know how ridiculous some of it is, and you know how many times these people have gotten so lucky that things went the right way, like in all these movies. But it doesn't matter because it's just so fun to
That's right.
figure out what's going to happen next. Like the letter that was teased to us from Hoffman to Amanda for 2 movies or 3 movies, right? From 3 to 6, we had to wait for like 3 years to find out what that letter said, and I was dying to find out each year, like what was in that letter. Are we going to find out now? And I'm like, they probably won't do it the next film. We're going to have to wait another. And then when we finally found out, it pays off. Like it's so effective, and you feel Amanda's pain. Like, damn, like now we know why she shot Lynn, and the way that everything pieces back together and makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know many other series in horror that are like that.
I can't think of any, man.
Yeah, and that's why it's a top 5 franchise for me.
I agree. I think that's what sets it apart. That's what makes it special, is the fact that they pay attention, like you said earlier, to the details and the callbacks. You could wait 3 movies before something really gets answered, and it's in a way where, okay, now when I watch these movies, I'm thinking about it a little bit differently, and that's also the fun of it. Like me and my friends, it was like we became detectives trying to piece together this whole story.
Exactly.
And that's crazy, you know, for a horror franchise. You know, it's like that's what made it, to me, it made it very intelligent. You know, It wasn't always perfect, but they figured out a way to carry a storyline through these movies, and I mean, hats off to them, man. Hats off to them.
Yeah. Amazing job, and like especially for a series that, as we've seen so many of them, series that keep going on that are handed off to so many different directors and different writers and all that. Like there's a lot of the same people working throughout the series, even though it wasn't, you know, Linnell. I combined the names, Leigh Whannell, and James Wan working on, you know, past the first one that Wan directed, but it was still pretty contained between, you know, everybody working on it, and it shows, and you can see it in the departure and the difference of it in like Spiral and Jigsaw to a lesser extent. Now, what are your thoughts on Spiral? Since I see in chat they are talking Spiral.
You know, for me, I think I first of all, I enjoyed Spiral. You know, it had an interesting dynamic going on because it felt fresh, but it also felt kind of like a Saw film. The only thing to me is that I think that the traps weren't as I don't want to say the word iconic, but it seemed like they just didn't live up to where we had been to that point. And that's not to say that I wanted more blood or gore, but just how things were set up.
They were missing something.
Yeah, it didn't have that same umph, you know.
Yeah.
I really love the dynamic of Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I know a lot of people, and I saw them in the chat earlier saying we all knew who the killer was. You know, the first time we saw the trailer. I mean, the killer. It was easier to figure that one out, although they did try to throw you off his trail when they found the body, which you know, that was cool. But you know, I don't know, man. I mean, I started to kind of really zero in on him maybe a third of the way into the film. But I still didn't have a big issue with it. The only thing I had an issue with was this. It seemed like it didn't have. There was something with it. It just seemed like something was missing.
Yeah.
Maybe in the sense of connecting it to the franchise.
That's something that I have an issue with it too. Yeah. I can't really put my finger on it completely.
Yeah.
It's just it's definitely it's stand on its own film, and we knew that. We knew it was a new chapter in the series. Like, if whether you want to look at a new chapter as not so much as what you would think is like a direct sequel, but another fresh idea that kind of links back, and you could see it. I mean, I didn't care for it as much when I first saw it. Upon the last rewatch, when I was doing the series, it went up a decent amount for me. So I have less issues with it now. Most of them rests, with the traps that I feel like you don't like. You can feel the pain of these people in this series, and especially in some of them, like where's like in 6, like with the go around carousel with the shotgun, they're like pleading for each other's for their lives, and then they're turning on each other because in real life that's exactly what's happening.
That's right.
They're all screaming out like, "Oh, yo, you're a suck up," and then and there's all the terrible things they say to each other and everything. Just live and survive. But you could feel that. I feel like that was definitely missing. Like in the traps there. Like you don't, and plus they don't feel that dramatic. Or not dramatic is the wrong word, but it's hard to think of the right word. But they seem tame.
Yeah. It just didn't seem like it was at that same level.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could say it does make sense because it's I don't even remember the guy's name, the killer, but it's him doing it. It's not Jigsaw. It's not Hoffman or anyone that was doing these straps that we know of.
Right.
To me, this just seems like they either just didn't want to focus on it as much as what I think is maybe what it was. They wanted to focus more on the detective side of it, and they do a good job with that. I feel they do. Saw and Saw felt very 7 when Saw came out, the first one. But I feel like they stuck to that more, like the detective side of it, which is cool. I don't have as much issues with it as I used to, but it's my least favorite Saw film.
It's I forgot where I had it in my original ranking of the franchise, but it was down there. And again, it has some good things in it, but also some missed opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now, what is your favorite Saw film?
Oh man, it's so tough. It really is tough because, first of all, the original is great. That's what started it. But I've always had a soft spot for 2.
I used to love 2 so much. I still do.
Yeah, 6 is up there. And I really enjoyed 3 as well. So any of those 2, 3, or 6 could easily be number 1. It might be 2 and then 6, maybe. I'd have to think about it, man. But I really loved 2 so much, man. And I think part of it was because, first of all, Amanda's back, and you're kind of following her with these guys, with these folks in the house, and they're in the house. The whole house is a friggin' trap. So that was amazing. Plus, you have Tobin Bell. He had the most screen time. You know what I mean? And also Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, and I think he was a great character too.
Yeah, Eric Matthews. He was a great character. There's so many great secondary characters throughout this franchise also that just work out too. There's not really a character I can think of I don't care for watching the series.
That's right, man. And so I was really a big fan of Eric and this whole cat and mouse that he was having with John Kramer. And so that's why I love Saw 2 so much, is that there's multiple layers to why, for me anyways, I love it so much. But 6 was just awesome. So I could either say 2 or 6 is my favorite.
Yeah, they definitely, especially in a series that relies so much on reveals from past movies and that it all connects together so much. It's definitely so hard to pick a favorite. Since some things rely on being impactful because of their link to another film in the series and everything. But 6 is just definitely my. I was curious when I covered the series for the channel if I was going to think the same after the rewatches, and yeah, same thing. So like I love, it's like Carrie says, especially the guy that says, "You look at me when you're killing me." In the
Yes,
carousel.
he was funny.
Yeah, like what that, and that's such a, now you feel that line there, kind of like with
right
in Friday 4, which is not just my favorite Friday, which I think it's the greatest slasher film ever made. When he was it Rob? I was forgetting.
He's
and
killing me.
Yeah, he's killing me. The way he
Yeah.
says that, like I know a lot of people don't like that line, they laugh at that kill and stuff. That terrifies me.
Yeah.
Like just that the only thing that this person could think of and say, these last moments are he's killing me, like run, like that's terrifying to me, and it always reminded me of that when I first saw that scene. And
that's
it's
a good point.
Still just as effective. Like it's a great scene. They're fighting all over each other, cross talk, and then trying to figure out, no, you're terrible. Like you never do any work, and they're like, kill him.
Right.
And some funny stuff in there.
It is funny, man. You take too many lunch breaks. No. It's like, come on. It was funny, but also really tense.
Oh yeah, and I think it works great because I feel like maybe they had to throw a little bit of comedic relief in there, a little bit, just to, if not, it would get way too serious, like a dark feeling, which I mean the series is known for, but yeah, I feel like they needed some of that in there because that whole movie alone, I love the whole thing with the health industry, the healthcare.
Right. Yeah, it was really cool.
The bank loans and the companies and everything, how they screw everybody based on how they're that individual person. And there was that scene when he comes in saying this guy was being denied healthcare at like 30 years after he had a tooth extracted.
Right.
He can't get a heart surgery or something like that would save his life. And some of the stuff that it's talking like subtext in there and the social commentary is great.
Yeah. People don't give it enough credit. There's some really cool depth to some of these movies, and 6 is a good example of that. They were giving you these moments where it was talking about real world stuff, and it wasn't beating you over the head with it, but it was right there for you to see it in full plain view. And I think 6 was very, very smart that way.
That's definitely one of the reasons that it's my favorite in the series. Just the whole background, like wraparound story of who, like why they're doing, why this game is taking place.
Right.
Like saying, on the flip side with 5, that's probably my least favorite of the whole building that was burnt down and that they're all in the trap that they got to work together. That's probably the low point of the series for me.
Well, 5. It's funny because, and when we talked about it on my channel, and I was talking about it with my brother, me and him, again, we love Costas Mandalore, and the Hoffman character is just one of those characters that just speaks to us. And me personally, we were getting that backstory, as far as how he and Jigsaw, got hooked up, and all that different type of stuff. Now I agree, the motive of the traps or the game with the whole building and all that, it was kind of like I thought it was going to lead to something a little bit either bigger or something more personal to John, like they did in 6. So 5's reasoning for the game, I don't think is very strong at all. Like I can agree with you, it's probably at the bottom of the list. But for some reason, man, I do enjoy the movie and the people that were in the game. Most notably, Julie Benz, who I met at a convention, and she is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I love the characters. She is, man. I was just I came up to her. I was like, oh my God, you're awesome. I loved you in Saw 5. And she had this big smile on her face, and she's like, oh, thank you so much. And gave me a hug and all that. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best day of all time. So
that's awesome. Oh yeah, she seems like she'd be a total sweetheart. And you made me think of something, but now I forgot for a second. All right, something. But 5 is definitely a weird one for me because I still love it, just like I love the whole series, especially the first 7 movies. Like as we said, like a standalone like chapter just being those 7, if they were just contained, and
Mhm.
if we never got the other 2, like as much as I've grown to enjoy him, I think it would be like one of the greatest franchises in horror, even though it already is for me. It's a favorite, but I would argue it's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Like if it was, but with that whole, it feels like the middle of a movie or setup to a movie. It doesn't feel like a full film 5.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's
I
kind
agree
of
with
my
you.
issue with it. Is
Yeah.
I feel like it's not structured the same
Mhm.
as the others, and it kind of throws it off. It feels very strange.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it feels like it was supposed to, like you said, maybe lead to something bigger, or like lead to, I thought maybe lead to at least something that would link back to John Kramer, Amanda, Mark, something to do with the whole big picture.
Right.
It was just another, like, these people did something bad, that they shouldn't have done, and now they ended up in this trap. So it is what it is. It's still such a fun movie, and I feel like it's a bridge connecting movie between 4 and 6 and 7.
I agree. Yep.
Because
absolutely.
that was their way of getting of moving past, for Kramer being gone and dead, and kind of introducing, all right, this is Hoffman's show now.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
Which makes sense for people who don't like Hoffman's character, and why I think that's a big reason people stop after 3 or 4.
Yep, that's right.
If you don't like Hoffman's character, you're getting a lot of them in 5 through 7. So you better strap in if you don't like them. Hey,
well,
Ginger,
hey, what's up, man? Well, I'll tell you what. The one thing that I really loved in 5 as well is Strom. Agent Strom was amazing.
Cat Mouse is great too, between him and Hoffman.
Yeah, and I think that for me, anyways, as a fan, really carried it a lot. And at the end, with the twist in the glass case, I think that's one of
great scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the best twists in the franchise to me, man. Because
I think it's one of the best endings.
As soon as you start hearing that music and Hoffman points down to the tape recorder, I remember in the theater, people were like, "Oh shit!" So.
Oh yeah,
it was a great ending.
The way that he just knew he just knew who he was up against. Like Hoffman knew that Strom was not going to get in there, and it played. It's just like how John always does, and that's his whole philosophy, is that the human condition, and that he understands it so well. The same thing with Hoffman with Strom there. And he knows him so well, and he knows the human condition. He knows he's not getting to this glass box, and that was the only way out of that room alive. What a great ending that is! Like,
it is, man.
Denisha's here. Hey, Denisha.
Hey.
She's saying hey to Care Bear. Katie's here. Popping the popcorn. I fell in behind on chat a little bit. Sorry, guys. We got small talk going on.
It's easy to fall behind on it, man.
I know, for sure.
Yeah.
Pat says Julie Benz, it was tragic, and Dexter.
Yeah. Yep.
Dexter's such a good show too. So we have. I'm trying to think who else they could possibly maybe surprise bringing back for this movie besides Carrie Elways.
Well, geez, man, I don't know. Well,
there's so many, like we said, characters in this saga, in this story.
Yeah,
Logan, I was really thinking
maybe, yeah, maybe.
Would the timeline work out? Right, it would. He's alive. Well, yeah. So I think it might work out.
Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to, kind of connect it, so to speak, and all of that, they could bring him back. I don't know if they will, but because Jigsaw was kind of like the black sheep, well, along with Spiral to a lot of folks. I enjoyed it, but they could do it, man. I mean, hell, man, they could bring back Strom because he was kind of keeping an eye on Hoffman and the police force, anyways. From what he said,
that's actually a great point. Is that is that they can bring back depending on where this is set.
Yes, depending on
where. Which films it's between. They can bring back several different characters.
That's right.
So that's an interesting point there. Because Carrie just asked if they can bring Adam back. I saw that in the. So, I mean, now I'm trying to think that if it takes place in 1 and 2, he's already dead.
Right.
But I mean, they can flash back between events, in the first film.
Right. I think if they're smart, they will do well. First of all, I do think they're going to do that. I think they are going to
Yeah.
have something that is going to show before the events of the movie. I mean, they might even go deeper into the whole thing with Amanda, with
Yeah.
Jigsaw, checking her out, assessing, her life and how she's not, appreciative of it and all that type of stuff. So this could have some stuff going on before the events of the first film. That I think that makes sense,
Yeah, and like you said, it would be a great decision to do so. Because I
Yeah.
mean, now's the time. Like they have
Right.
the perfect opportunity that they're being able to set this film in between, previous installments.
That's right.
So what better time to do it than now? Because who knows where the story will go after this?
That's
If it
right.
does open new doors and if
Mhm.
it does, and it is successful, which I'm sure it will be, even
Yeah.
if for some reason it turns out not being that great of a film,
Mhm.
it's, Saw 10. It's the 10th Saw film after not being around for a while. This series.
Yeah, I think it's going to rally people to it. As long as it's not
Hey, Melissa.
total crap. Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
As long as it's not total crap and it can get past that second weekend,
Yeah.
I think it'll make decent money because it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't cost a lot for them to do these movies.
No.
So I think
limited
weekend,
locations.
Yeah.
Is one thing that helps a lot with these movies.
Right. But I think opening weekend, if it can do decently and have a good second weekend hold, I think we'll be okay. And again, it doesn't have any. Well, it does have some competition, but I think it's the iconic sure bet, so to speak. When it comes out. I know we got Exorcist coming up, but
Yeah,
I don't think anyone
I know.
is putting money on the Exorcist being good. Although I will say, and I know we're not talking about Exorcist, but I will say, man, I think it might be okay. I put it this way. They don't need to do it. There's no reason to do it. To me, there's no way it's going to be better than the original or 3.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's not going to be a total crap show like everyone is banking their whole life savings on. I have a feeling that it'll at least be okay.
I'm hoping so. I mean, I say it all the time with every movie. And most of us, I'm sure, no one goes into a movie saying, "I hope a movie sucks." Like,
right.
But
right.
I always hope that for the best, but I don't get expectations up for anything, and I don't. I love going in blind for most things because I want to know nothing. I want to just completely not even know what a movie's about. If it's a fresh movie, has no ties to any, some sequel or anything. But I'm not a fan of the trilogy, the Apollo, the recent trilogy.
Right.
2018, I think it's decent. Kills and I care for and ends. I won't even talk about, but out of those already, that trilogy, and knowing Green is behind this trilogy, it just this is the reason most people are not excited.
Yeah.
But like you said, you never know. And I'm
always
gonna hope that it turns out all right. Because I mean, hey, 2018, I can enjoy a bit. So if that film came out, if you can take a few things from a movie, there's something there. It's not terrible. I always say I don't like the word hate for usually forever, but anything. But I hate a film, so you like nothing about it at all. There's nothing good. If there's a few things that I can take out of a movie, it's worth the watch.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And if it turns out being something much more than that, surprisingly, that's all the better.
That's right.
Then at least we could say, hey, we got a pretty damn good Exorcist film in 2023, and then I'm sure if it is that good, it's gonna just be more hyped for the other two. So who knows what's gonna happen with these Exorcist movies? But hoping for the best. I love Ellen Burstyn. She's a favorite actress of mine.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it's cool. It's cool to get a chance to see her again. So
and to see these characters come back. I mean, I don't know hardly anything about what the story is or what they're planning or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. But same here.
I wonder what made him think Exorcist trilogy. Yeah. All the projects that they could have thought of. I mean, I'm sure he was, what was offered to him and stuff. But I wonder after Halloween, the next thing, Exorcist, how they got there.
I don't know, man, but and I've talked about this on my channel. We've talked about it on the Lethal Collective. There has to be, and again, I'm not putting money on this being a great movie. To me, I think it'll probably be okay. All right. I'm hoping it'll at least be good. But we know studios, and we know studios aren't always the smartest, but there has to be something that they were thinking that made them go with this. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe something in the story that they thought would grab people's attention, because probably almost out of any iconic movie in horror, The Exorcist is one that you should just say, I don't know if I want to go down that road.
It's like The Thing, I always say, is sitting right behind your head. My favorite film. It's like if they came back and said we're remaking John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah,
not the prequel, like a sequel. Or something. We're remaking The Thing. I wouldn't be all right with that. Like,
right?
Unless no, I wouldn't be all right with it. Like, there's no
yeah. I mean,
but it's close with The Exorcist. It's close with that, because it's, to me, it's still, they haven't beaten, that movie has not been beaten with demonic possession effects and sound effects. Just
that's right.
Those things alone, but best demon makeup and effects in a film to this day for me.
Yeah, man, and the friggin' film is 40-something years old. That's crazy,
right? Like, and that it's like all the advancements in technology and in the practical effects and CGI and all of that movie and just filmmaking in general. But like, that's still the film. Like 50 something, like almost 50 years later, whatever it is. That's still the best, like, in that department. Like, it's the same with Mario Bava's Kill Baby Kill for me. The ghost in there is just a little Italian boy with a blonde wig to look like a girl. That's the best ghost look for me in a film. That's from '66.
That's like, right.
It's always it's funny how that turns out. It's like after all these decades, some of those things were just so well done, or even simply done in some cases, and they stand out, the most still to this day.
That's right, man. It's crazy, but it just shows how talented the filmmakers were, and also the time, when they did it, how that movie spoke to a generation, and that's the thing about The Exorcist, is that movie spoke to that generation because they had never seen anything like that. But since then, we've all like that. Yeah, we've seen a hell of a lot of imitators, and a couple of them have been okay, or some have been good, but to reach that level is just almost impossible at this point.
For sure.
So I don't know, man.
I mean, the chances that this movie or any remake of The Exorcist will surpass The Exorcist, I think the ship has sailed once the original Exorcist was made. Like, it's never gonna happen. But like I said, I just hope for something watchable, something that is like, this is so bad that, like, what were they thinking? Like, for me, which was Halloween Ends level type stuff, but at least that wasn't as bad as it could be. Like, we've, out of all the movies that you've seen, I'm sure there are some bad movies out there, and people. That's why I don't like the term. Like, I hate this film. So thrown around so willy-nilly, because when someone says, "Oh, the Halloween Ends is the worst movie of all time,"
that's right.
I didn't like the movie at all, but it's the worst of all time. It's nowhere near.
Man. I mean, there are movies that you really can't even watch because the story is so incoherent, or
the editing is just
the editing.
A million things. It's just like that, and it's like, to put even just that term on a film, especially a big budget studio film, despite how you feel about it. It's ridiculous to me. I mean, there's so many movies. We could probably come up with a list so fast of like 100 ones worse than any of the worst movies. So I don't know, but that whole reputation that followed, and the controversy with it, and with Gordon Green.
That's right.
I'm thinking, of course, that's why so many people are not having anywhere near expectations. Like, remember when Halloween 2018 was announced and stuff? There was decent expectations.
That's right. Yeah.
Now for this movie, for the trilogy with The Exorcist, like after like this last trilogy with Green, there's nowhere near that same type of positivity that we had leading up to 2018.
But I'll tell you what, man, if the movie is decent, or even good, I'm gonna be like shouting out to the heavens on my channel just to say you just never know. I mean, and again, I don't have huge expectations of it for
Yeah.
myself either, because The Exorcist is one of my favorite films of all time. But
Mhm.
I like you, I want to just go in and see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to say, oh, it's going to be the worst thing of all time. I think it's a
Yeah.
horrible idea to try to do it, but
Yeah. And then
if
once you
they
put that as the idea aside, exactly, and you
right,
go in thinking fresh and clear your
yeah,
mind.
if they can pull it off, I mean, shit, man, that'd be like one of the greatest
Yeah.
things in a long time for horror, pulling off a decent film, when nobody was giving
Absolutely.
it a shot. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even yeah, that's true. Just to pull off a, a pretty good or just a decent
Yeah.
Exorcist remake is a
Mhm.
pretty tall feat itself.
That's
So
right.
that's definitely a good point there. Um, I don't know. Anything you want to? What's going on in your channel? You want to plug your channel quick? I know you
Well,
got to watch after you got a watch party or something soon, right?
yeah, we've got a channel members watch party coming up in a few minutes. We're gonna be
Yeah.
watching Wrong Turn, so we're gonna be doing that, and then tomorrow night, on Monday night, we'll be doing our slasher movie club episode of Wrong Turn, where everyone gets to kind of discuss
Yeah.
it and all that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun doing that.
Sweet. I have not seen the Wrong Turn movies in a while. So
Me neither.
right? It's been a long time. And
Right.
then that we got that recent one that had nothing to do with like the movies at all. The past movies. Actually,
Yes.
it wasn't too terrible, that movie. Like if you take your mind off it not being something completely different
Yeah.
and not having
Yep.
killer cannibals or anything like that in the woods. It's all
Right.
right. I'll answer Pat's question real quick. What's better, The Exorcist or The Shining? You go first.
Oh man, he already knows.
Yeah,
I love both of them.
exactly.
It's like,
The
you know,
Exorcist would be for me. Just
I think The Exorcist is, from A to Z, the better film.
mhm.
Um, as far as which movie I gravitate towards, it flip
It flips.
flops.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
so hard
mean?
making it out of those horror Leviathan titles,
Yeah,
those classics that we grew up with watching, and that when we were growing up, and people, those movies were already established as
that's
like
right.
horror masterpieces, Psycho,
Yep,
and everything. It's like it's so hard to rank those,
it
but
is.
we got hopefully a good Saw movie coming
That's
in
right.
October. So that's all we can do is apply that same logic with The Exorcist to
Mm-hmm.
Saw, and say hopefully it's a good one. And I have a feeling that it'll be good.
Yeah, I definitely have
Some
a good feeling on it.
yeah, some gut instinct makes me think that they're not going to completely mess this up
Right,
because they
right.
haven't done so yet.
That's right, right. And
So
and again, they had time to put this together.
mhm.
They knew the fans wanted Tobin Bell back. They saw what kind of transpired after Jigsaw and Spiral. So to me,
Yeah.
if it's not a good movie, the blame is totally on the
Oh,
filmmakers,
absolutely.
because they had the chance to rectify and make a good entry into the franchise.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
and plenty of time, as you said, and they know what we want. Like most of the fans, what they're looking for, what they want back. They
Mm-hmm.
know everything that we've discussed tonight. Good stuff in the stream. The things that the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, the things that
That's right.
the little reveals, the tiebacks and stuff. They know all that. They know that that's what the
Mm-hmm.
fans want.
That's right.
So it's just execution at
Mm-hmm.
this point. So hopefully it is executed well. But
Yeah.
awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome having you on here for the first
Yeah,
time.
man. Yeah,
And,
it was a blast, man.
for sure. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a good Exorcist too. But I'm down there.
Hey, when after it comes out, we got to get back together and kind of have
Yeah, right. We'll do an
kind of,
Exorcist thing.
yeah, and say, yep, we knew it. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
good.
we'll replay clips from here.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, cue evidence part A. Put that on.
right.
That's funny, man. Yeah, we definitely got to do that. All right, guys. Thanks in chat for hanging out, everybody. Too many. I don't want to miss anyone, so I never name them. And again, thanks. I'll see you in a second. And
All right, man.
guys, we have what's today? Today's Sunday, so there's a lot going on this week. I'll post in the community tab. Take care, guys.
Peace.